Hey there, I'm Sanjay and in this video I'm going to design new Pokemon based on animals that are not represented in the Pokemon franchise. So, there are about 1000 plus Pokemon introduced throughout all generations, and a huge chunk of them are based on animals and a few based on inanimate objects, humans, and other things like that. Throughout all these 9 generations, we have gotten Pokemon based on so many animals from cats, dogs, a lot of dogs, apes, reptiles, sea creatures, bugs, etc. In Generation 9, we were introduced to even more new Pokemon based on animals that are not Pokemon yet, like storks, earthworm, flamingos, and even the long-awaited dolphin Pokemon. Yet, we are still missing so many animals that would be perfect in the form of a Pokemon. So, in this video, I am going to design 3 new Pokemon line based on these animals that are not Pokemon yet. Without further ado, let's get started. The first Pokemon I am creating for this video is going to be based on the Capybara. Capybara is one of those animals that are loved by most people. People have been waiting for a Capybara Pokemon for a long time. If they were to introduce a Capybara Pokemon, it would be based on a region found somewhere in South America. It could even be a regional rodent. I love capybaras. They look so cute but also has this weird resting bitch face. Any rendition of a cartoon capybara is going to look good because capybaras are such good looking animals. Capybaras love to live by bodies of water. Game Freak likes to make aquatic and semi-aquatic animals as water type Pokemon. So I gave this Pokemon the water type. A water-type regional rodent is something we already have, being Bibarel. So I wanted to make this design stand out compared to this Pokemon. This Pokemon is also going to be part based on pirates. A pirate water-type capybara Pokemon sounds like a great idea to me. So in its first stage, I made its fur into headgear-like features. Giving Pokemon cloth-like features that are not exactly clothes is something that I'm still working on. Giving Pokemon cloth-like features that are not just clothes is an integral part of designing Pokemon. You can see this in Pokemon like Lilligant, Pangoro, Squawkabilly, and there are so much more examples of this. For the final stage, I made it stand up. It's going to be a pirate captain Pokemon. The reason I gave this Pokemon a pirate theme is because 1. It's a water type and I don't think we have any pirate Pokemon, and 2. The word cap is in the name Capybara. At first, I wanted to make a ship captain Pokemon, but I went with the pirate theme instead. I love how this final form turned out. It does look a lot like Pangoro and I'm still figuring out giving Pokemon cloth-like features. The pre-evolution's name is Capi and the final evolution name is Marauder. This Pokemon is water dark type and they work together as groups, stealing other Pokemon's food. I do like how this Pokemon line turned out. Water-type Pokemon are the most common type of Pokemon in the Pokemon world, which makes sense as there are so many sea creatures that can be found on the earth, and most of the earth is made up of water. Yet, there are so many animals from the ocean that are not represented in the form of a Pokemon. Well, most of these Pokemon are not even known by most humans. I'm going to design a Pokemon based on the tube worm. Tube worms are worm-like creatures that are found underwater. They usually anchor their tails onto underwater surfaces like rocks. Their body contains a tube-like structure into which they can withdraw their entire body. For the first stage, I made a Pokemon based on the tube worm Riftia, also known as the giant tube worm. This Pokemon is made up of 2 tube worms attached to a rock. This Pokemon evolves into a completely different species of tube worm known as the Serpula. These are also tube worms that contain a tube-like structure and is attached to rocks, boulders, and other hard surfaces underwater. These creatures are already interesting to look at, so it won't be that hard to turn them into a Pokemon. The most notable part of these animals is the colorful fan-like crown. I simplified the details so that the most important details are clear and Pokemon-like. The end of the tube is attached to a clam and rock thing. Even though the entire species of this Pokemon has shifted from its pre-evolution, I kept the colors the same so that they look as part of the same Pokemon line. I made the face expressive and the fan-shaped part wave around underwater, and this Pokemon can also use them as its hands. I like how this Pokemon line turned out as well. Tubul and Tuberbula, Tubeworm Pokemon, Rock Water type. These Pokemon are found underwater in the ocean attached to rocks. They look like beautiful flowers and hide inside their tubes when they encounter divers. The next Pokemon is going to be based on the Cassowary. Cassowary is one of those birds that is so iconic that it is surprising we haven't gotten a Pokemon based on it. Well, we only just got a proper ostrich Pokemon in Generation 9, if you don't count Dorio as an ostrich, which I don't. Dorio is more like a dodo, apparently, and the prototype of a tall, huge flightless bird combined, rather than an actual ostrich. I love cassowaries, they look so edgy to me. There are not a lot of animals you can say that about, and Cassowary looks like it would be perfect for a dragon type Pokemon. So I made a dark dragon Cassowary Pokemon. The dark type comes not from just its appearance, even though it is a main factor, but also Cassowaries are known for being violent and dangerous. In fact, it is called as the world's most dangerous bird. If you look like that and are dangerous, you are definitely a dark type Pokemon. No questions asked. Yes, I designed this Pokemon way too closely based on the bird alone, but the dragon elements will add to the fantastical features of this Pokemon anyway. The dragon elements can be further exaggerated using the headbone spike thing. I also used it as spice throughout the body of this Pokemon. This Pokemon's legs also look very powerful. This Pokemon is both cool and scary looking, and I love it. Dracoiri, the dragon bird Pokemon. Dragon Dark type. This Pokemon has the ability to inflict fatal damage to humans who disturb it. Its kicks can tore through any metal. Its signature move, Rampant Assault, is a dark type move which has the ability to cause the opponent to flinch. In double battles, it attacks a random Pokemon on the field. And that's it. These are the Pokemon that I designed based on animals that are not in Pokemon yet. Thank you for watching. See you guys in the next video.